Panasonic, the heart of your system.
Hey guys, Boneman's here from Kit Guru, and in today's YouTube video we will be having a look at the new CORSAIR K83 wireless entertainment keyboard. Whilst the K83 comes in at a price of $109.99, it does give you access to control things like your smart TV, your iOS and Android devices, any streaming media devices you have, and also your PC as well, all from such a small, thin keyboard. Let's go and check out the K83. The packaging of the CORSAIR K83 retains its yellow-black colour scheme and clearly shows the product on the front of the box, where the rear shows a lot more detailed information about the keyboard, explaining its compatibility, specs and a lot more. As we open the box, we see that the keyboard is held in place and is actually protected by a plastic cover, and this time the product's guides have their own separate pouch, making it look a lot neater as you open it. The guides that are included are the K83 Wireless Quick Start Guide, the Warranty Guide, and lastly the Safety Guide. Underneath where the keyboard was is where you'll find the USB wireless receiver for the keyboard. It is held securely in place with plastic and some sellotape that has been taped across, making it sure it doesn't come loose at any point in the box. The keyboard provides wireless technology featuring Bluetooth 4.2 or a 1 millisecond latency ultra-fast 2.4 GHz wireless capability. Finally, underneath where the wireless receiver part of the box was, is where you'll find the tangle-free rubberized flat charging cable. This cable is a length of 1.82 meters and connects the keyboard to the iCUE software in your PC, allowing you to configure it and also to charge the K83. Now on to the main event. The keyboard has a beautiful gunmetal brushed anodized aluminium design. It has a compact frame which consists of 76 ultra-low profile keys and includes an integrated precision touchpad, joystick, and also has a dedicated aluminium volume roller with a press to mute function. The other buttons that this keyboard has I'll go over a little bit later. The K83 is incredibly small, thin and very cute, with dimensions of 381mm in length, 125mm in width, and 28mm in height. Overall, this keyboard only has a weight of 0.48 kilograms, making this keyboard a very light option for media control and gaming. When it comes to actually holding the keyboard, it is a very thin keyboard. However, it doesn't feel plasticky, it doesn't feel like it's not been made very well. It does have that sturdiness to it. And to be honest, I really enjoy the fact of how thin and how light it is, because it means instead of having the hassle of carrying this big keyboard throughout all your different rooms, you can just literally take the wireless receiver and actually go ahead and just grab this and move to a different room easily. There's no wires that are involved, there's no kind of effort involved, it's literally just a pick up and go. But it is very, very light, and I love the way it looks. When it comes to keyboards, I do enjoy the fact that they have the kind of gunmetal brushed aluminium design. I just think they make for a very stylish looking keyboard, and to be honest, I just think that they look a lot better. I do think when it comes to the way CORSAIR make their keyboards, I love the fact that they use the aluminium frames just because it makes keyboards feel a lot more sturdy. And to be honest, I do feel that they last a lot longer than if you were to have a plastic keyboard, and I just think that they look a lot nicer as well. Having the aluminium frame, especially with the brushed design on it of the gunmetal colour as well, I do think that it looks really sleek and stylish. I feel like it's going to fit well with all of the kind of devices or controllers that you have in your living rooms or bedrooms or studios or wherever you have any sort of device that this keyboard can actually connect to. I feel that no matter what, the design is always going to fit in well with them. Now to go over the K83's extra buttons. On the right part of the keyboard is where you'll find majority of them, including the touchpad and joystick. This touchpad has a precise 4-finger gesture feature depending on which version of Windows you are running, or which compatible device you have the keyboard connected to. Underneath the touchpad is where you'll find the 2 standard left and right click buttons. The keyboard includes a brightness key which have backlight adjustments of 33% increments with each click, and has a function lock key next to it. The joystick on the keyboard features 2 modes for navigation and gaming, and also has 2 click buttons for complete one-handed control in some applications. On the top of the keyboard is where you will find the L button, the power button, and the micro USB input for the charging cable. And lastly, on the rear of the keyboard, this is where you'll find your R button. I did think that when it came to the K83's integrated controls on the keyboard, that they weren't very comfortable and very easy to use. You can actually use the joystick, the left button and the right button that's on the back, all with one hand, and to be honest I did find that very easy as well. The only thing that I felt was kind of a downside when it came to the K83's buttons on the keyboard was actually the mute button. So the mute button is located on the volume dial, and obviously it's a dial, so having to press the dial in, if you were to accidentally just knock it very slightly whilst you're muting, it completely cancels the whole action. So if you are in a little bit of a rush when it comes to needing to mute the sound, you always have this slight chance that you're going to be kind of increasing the sound instead. So you do have to kind of take time out and just go a little bit slower and a lot more precise when pressing it in. So I do kind of feel that it's not a very good designed mute function. I feel that maybe if they would have added an extra button somewhere on the keyboard, I do think that it would be a lot more beneficial instead of being like super precise and super slow when it comes to wanting to mute the keyboard. The main benefit of this keyboard is to provide premium, easy to use media control whilst relaxing in front of your television. If you have a compatible smart TV, you can navigate through a variety of interfaces from your smart TV or streaming media device. Once you're in a streaming media application, whether you listen to music or want to watch your favourite series, you can control the playback options via the K83's hotkeys. Unfortunately, when it came to me using the K83 on my smart TV, I realised that my smart TV wasn't the best, so therefore I couldn't get the full functionality out of the keyboard itself. So beforehand, just make sure that your smart TV or any streaming media devices are actually compatible with the K83. When it came to using the K83 on my S9, I connected the keyboard to my phone via Bluetooth by turning on my phone's Bluetooth and pressing F6 on the keyboard, which is the Bluetooth wireless mode option. Once they were paired, I tried out the search key. This brought up the Google search bar on my phone, and then once I hit enter on my search choice, it brought up exactly what I wanted. Using the media hotkeys on the keyboard, it was also very easy to pause, skip and stop the YouTube videos. Using the keyboard's controls, I could access the parts of my phone such as the Switch application tab. To do this, all I had to do on the keyboard was press F3, instead of me having to press the screen on my phone. Pressing the keyboard's F2 key brought me back to my main phone screen, and then I pressed the F8 key to launch the media player. This brought up my Spotify application and allowed for me to search for music, use the media hotkeys fully, and adjust the volume all from the keyboard. I don't have many games currently installed on my phone, but I am a secret fan of Candy Crush, so I thought why not test it out with the K83 and see how it plays. When it comes to gaming with the keyboard, you can use the touchpad and the left and right click buttons below it, or you can use the joystick and the buttons at the top and the rear of the keyboard. Finally, I did test the keyboard on my PC, so I loaded up Dead Cells on Steam or via the K83 entirely. Whilst I played a little bit of this, I was using the typical WASD keys as a normal keyboard, but then I was occasionally swapping out to the joystick movements. I still had to use the spacebar to jump in the game as the buttons weren't really mapped to anything else, and I don't really see where they could have been changed to in all honesty. The L button and the R button provided the sword attack and the bow attack whilst playing. On the K83 keyboard, between the escape and the F1 button, there is like a little LED status indicator light, and if you press FN and enter, this will show you your current battery or what is remaining of the keyboard itself. So the effects are green solid, green blinking, amber blinking, red blinking and red pulsing, and these all indicate roughly how much % you do have left in your keyboard. There's a lot of factors when it comes to actually preserving the battery life, and generally what's going to make it die quicker. So if you have your brightness on 100%, the battery of the keyboard is going to diminish quite quickly, where if you don't have the brightness on at all, you're going to get that little bit longer out of your keyboard. However, before use, I do always recommend that when it comes to electronic battery powered devices, that you were to actually fully charge it before use, just so you can get the most out of it and actually see how much the battery does last for you. So for me, it did last a very long time. I did actually use it whilst I was doing work, and to be honest, whilst I was gaming a little as well, as I usually use the MX speed switches. So using the ultra low profile keys was very interesting to use, as, I don't know, I felt that when it came to actually typing on the keyboard itself, I found that it was a lot more comfortable and I could type a lot faster. So I'm a really fast touch typist, so having not a lot of stretch when it comes to actually typing itself, I found that it was very comfortable to use on the K83 keyboard. There are actually different modes that you can use to actually help set up the keyboard to different devices as well, depending on what you're doing. So in media mode, I would use the hotkeys to select the media mode if I was obviously going to be watching something on TV or having a look at a streaming media device. And then if I wanted to actually go ahead and game on the keyboard, I would then swap it over to the gaming mode. So it is best to change these modes, just for the fact at least then you will get full functionality out of using the keyboard instead of being in a media mode and trying to get all the functions out of what you wanted for a gaming mode, but obviously you're stuck with the media sides of things. So it is definitely recommended that you go ahead and kind of swap these modes out depending on what you're doing. Once you have access to the iQue and have plugged in the USB wireless receiver, you'll be able to see the device listed. You're able to configure different actions that you may want to perform with the keyboard. The actions that are available are macro, text, media, launch application, timer, disable, and lastly the remapping of keys. The gesture tab is where you can remap the touchpad's finger gesture commands. On first time load, you will find that it says that they are disabled, unless you want to change the gesture settings via Windows options. The reason for this is because the gestures are not iQue default, and can actually be enabled for iQue via a checkbox in the iQue settings tab. Due to there being a lot of options, here's an image that Corsair provided for all of the different gestures that can be configured. The lighting effects tab in the iQue is a place where you are able to adjust the lighting control options. With the keyboard, white is the only available option in colour, but you can change the backlighting to either have no effect, a static white colour, or a pulse effect. Within these options, you can change the light opacity settings and also the speed settings. If the keyboard's joystick unfortunately becomes uncentered, this is where you would recalibrate it by putting it in its default position. It's incredibly easy to calibrate, and all that's needed is for the joystick to be centered and then click the calibrate button on the iQue software. The navigation control tab provides changes to the touchpad, joystick, and the function lock mode status. When it comes to the touchpad, you can adjust the pointer speed and the touchpad's tapping speed too. Whether you want these to increase or decrease in speed, you can find your preferred pointer sensitivity and how slow or fast the touchpad registers your taps. When it comes to the joystick, you can adjust the settings for better control when it comes to the keyboard's gaming mode. These settings are joystick dead zone and joystick max zone. Dead zone is used to make the joystick more sensitive when it comes to smaller movements by adjusting the minimum distance at which outputs register. And the max zone option is used to make the joystick output 100% at a short distance by adjusting the minimum distance at which 100% registers. Again, like the touchpad, you can adjust the sensitivity of the joystick, but in this setting you can also adjust the joystick's X and Y axes too. Last in the tabs, you'll find the performance tab. Here you can disable various functions on the keyboard when the function lock is on. This prevents any accidental key presses whilst you're in the middle of gaming. My overall thoughts on the K83 wireless entertainment keyboard was that it's definitely going to be something useful to have around the house. I was a little bit gutted at the fact of my smart TV didn't really seem to work properly with the keyboard. This is just down to my smart TV really not being the greatest, and clearly I need to upgrade that. But overall, I think that if you were to have a fully compatible smart TV or streaming media device, you would get full functionality out of the keyboard, and to be honest, it would make your life a hell of a lot easier. However, when it did come to my phone, it worked flawlessly. I could access Spotify, I could turn the volume up and down, I could pause it, I could fast forward, I can go onto YouTube all from the search button, and just Google anything all from the keyboard. And when it came to actually using the keyboard on my PC, I found that I could actually just use it as a normal keyboard if wanted to. However, it gave me all of the additional benefits of the media buttons. Not all keyboards out there have media playback options on the keyboard itself. So if you have a keyboard already but like the idea of having like control around your different devices in your house, but then also want the extra media control from the keyboard in your PC room, I think this definitely would be a good keyboard to actually go ahead and get, just because it gives you ease of everything. However, when it came to me using the K83 on my PC, everything was fully working, apart from the fact of the media playback buttons when it came to me watching YouTube or anything on my PC itself. So this is because I was using Chrome, and I'd got in contact with Corsair and they got back to me saying that basically it was because I was just using Chrome, and when you use Chrome you need a plugin called Stream Keys, and then once you have this active you will actually be able to use the media playback buttons perfectly fine, and therefore when you have the keyboard connected to your PC it does fully work. So finally, good job to Corsair for providing us with a new product on the market that will allow us to have a lot more easier control when it comes to watching our favourite series and generally just binging on the stuff we absolutely love to watch. I hope you guys have enjoyed the review. If you have liked it, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to the Kit Guru channel, please make sure you do go ahead and do so. Lastly, we do have a Patreon page, so if you are interested in becoming a patron for Kit Guru, you do get access to having the review videos before they go onto YouTube before anybody else. So make sure you check that out. The link will be in the description there. Thanks so much, guys. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you for the next review.